Starbucks shutters its fourth San Francisco storefront in 7 months. Meanwhile, we've got these news headlines coming out of San Francisco. Crime is down everywhere in San Francisco, except these 2 neighborhoods. What's going on? We've got these conflicting messages being delivered. Let's get into it. Here we go.
Yet another Starbucks is closing in San Francisco. The location at Levi's Plaza on Sansom Street has a sign posted saying it'll be closing next Friday, a week from today. A Starbucks spokesperson tells us they made the decision to close that spot at the end of their current lease. The closure comes just a few months after a nearby Starbucks on Jackson Street also chose not to renew its lease after 3 decades in business there.
Wow. 3 decades. A lot of what I'm recognizing in San Francisco is just the cost to do business is high in California, period, everywhere. Got that state income tax, you got layers of taxes throughout. So if you're a worldwide business like Starbucks is, out of Seattle, by the way, first shop in Seattle, you betcha. If you're a worldwide business and you have the option to look at all of your portfolio and you realize your rent is super high, your cost of employees is super high, and a bunch of them get this harebrained idea of, hey, we're going to unionize and we're going to squeeze more money out of ownership. And then the store just gets closed down. Boop, closed. Those things all kind of point to business may not be the best place for Starbucks in San Francisco. So, and then if you want to layer on some street conditions, a poop emoji map, that whacked out nut job homeless person with the sword running up and down the street who lives just 3 blocks over in the homeless encampment, you throw him into the mix. Now you've got massive public safety issues, and you've got an issue where you're not making a ton of money and you're looking at your risk and your liability. You're likely to say, Starbucks shutters its 4th San Francisco storefront in 7 months and call it a day and move on. Move on to another location. You don't hear me making these podcasts about Dallas, Texas had 14 Starbucks closed down yesterday. You don't hear that, right? And Dallas is pretty purple. You don't hear that about all kinds of stuff closing down in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Now, they don't have the big shopping like, some of these other big urban cities do, but they also don't have all these ridiculous closures. How about CVS and Walgreens and whomever closing down in like Philadelphia and Chicago, where you've got these massive, not only food, but pharmacy desert areas because the locals have pickpocketed the stores clean. And the stores say, nope. No, we're big corporation. We can put our stores wherever. Yours is closed. Let's read about these Starbucks in another San Francisco Starbucks is set to close. This one just blocks from the Embarcadero coffee shop at 1255 Battery Street is scheduled to close Friday, May 16th, as first reported by K-Ron. Sign was posted on the door last week to let folks in the surrounding area know of the impending closure. We hope you can join us at our other locations, notably here, and here, just not here, right? Sign was posted on the door to let the folks know the Levi's Plaza outpost was popular among local residents and financial district workers. You know what? It doesn't matter if it's popular. It doesn't matter if it's a staple of the community. If the numbers don't make sense, guess what? It gets shut down because that's how business works. Reading a statement by somebody here in local Pacific Northwest, they were saying, I can't believe the median price of a home is nearly $1 million and only rich people can afford to live here. Well, when you constrict the supply of housing, this is what you get. When you create business conditions that aren't conducive to making a profit, this is what you get. In a statement to San Francisco Gate via email, a Starbucks spokesperson said the company would not renew its current lease. All right, so it's a lease issue. No, that is the exit point that you go out, because then you could say, the lease didn't really work out and it just, wasn't for us. We're going to focus on our other stores. It's Starbucks routinely evaluates each store. This is corporate speak. We like to evaluate each store to ensure a healthy portfolio. Okay, but did not go into further specifics, which means there were issues with the store. Employees were offered the possibility to transfer to another store, according to the email. Here is the sentence you want to focus on. According to Yelp, this Starbucks was known for not having a bathroom. Why not? Were prostitutes having sex with clients in the bathroom? Were junkies shooting up? Was there crazy stuff going on? Were people absolutely destroying the bathroom? Were they wiping feces on the wall? Were they ODing in the bathroom? These are all stuff that's happened here in Seattle. I don't know why it wouldn't happen in San Fran. Don't have a bathroom? Huh. Interesting. This is the fourth San Francisco closure for the Seattle headquartered brand in less than 7 months. November 2024, Starbucks at 120 4th Street and Soma shuttered. Later that month, the 30-year-old storefront in Pacific Heights did not renew its lease. See, there you go. Didn't renew the lease. That's an easy exit. Pacific Heights. Remember that movie? God, that was a great movie. Yeah. January 2025, it was reported at Jackson Square Starbucks that was known as a community hub. Corporate doesn't care. Was also on its way out. After some upheaval by the locals who appealed to Supervisor Danny Souter to try and keep it open and eventually shut its doors for good February 9th. Those stories don't often work out, do they? The community wants to keep it open, but if you got enough, screwball things happening, and if your numbers don't make sense, like your cost of labor has gone through the roof, maybe some of the minimum wages have impacted Starbucks' ability to keep these stores open. You raise that minimum wage by 25%, and you go from $16 to 20-something bucks. Maybe that had something to do with it too. I don't know. Just throwing out ideas, just spitballing here. But all right, so much of what I get and what you guys and I talk about is the crime, the street conditions, the whacked out man with the machete on meth running up and down the sidewalk, literally like our dude down in Portland, just running around, knife in the back, not literally in the back, but he had it in a scabbard in his back, and he's just, I hate cops. Yeah, that's great. Crime is down everywhere in San Francisco except in these 2 neighborhoods. All right. After a year of historically low crime numbers, San Francisco has continued to see an impressive decline in crime so far this year. You're seeing the story continually. This is on purpose. This is we're getting better. We're making the turn. To me, so much of this has to do with you had elevated crime numbers to begin with, and if they come down, you're still dealing with high crime numbers, but they're less than they were before. Is that great? It's going in the right direction, but bottom line is, to a big corporation like Starbucks, the damage has been done. These neighborhoods, even though your crime rates have come way down, not conducive to business. Corporate says, bye-bye. We're out of here. Bye-bye. We'll see you at our other stores located in other areas where this isn't quite as bad. But a Chronicle analysis revealed that reports in one area aren't seeing such a decrease. Soma and Mission Bay. That's got the Tenderloin in it. Why would the Tenderloin just all of a sudden one day, all the whacked out nut jobs in Tenderloin, just one day, we're not going to steal as much. We're not going to beat each other as much. We're not going to do as much raping. We're not going to steal as much because we want to give everybody a chance here to kind of just cool their jets and move on with life. No, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. The 2 neighborhoods, which are both in San Francisco Police Department's Southern District, have both seen apparent increases in property crime in the first 4 months of 2025. That's not good. Compared with the same period last year, driven by upticks in larceny theft, which includes crimes like shoplifting and car break-ins. What's going on there? Pattern? Yeah. It's just out of control. You got a whole bunch of out-of-control stuff, and guess what? Out-of-control nonsense isn't conducive to any kind of business at all. The other story that I was considering reading for this one was, hey, San Fran, you need to wake up because your property values of your downtown core, which funds a massive portion of your budget, those are decreasing. decreasing, going down, revenue going down, expenses going up. Yeah, that's kind of like Starbucks in this story, isn't it? Revenues going down, expenses going up. And then what do? Closed. Let's go to a location where we've already got evidence, because we can look at the balance sheets of those stores. Those stores are doing well. Plus, they're not run by a bunch of lunatics who allow anything goes on their streets, on their sidewalks. They don't allow homeless encampments everywhere willy-nilly. Just not a thing. So, why wouldn't you do more business there? You do. And that's what we're seeing the end result of. You're seeing the end result of pushback on decades after decades after decades of public policy that has gone absolutely sideways. Homelessness, drug abuse, crime, you name it. Just you let that go unfettered for a long time. That's how it ends up. The numbers in both places are still lower than in most other years. The trend is far from a crime spike. But while the rest of the city, including areas with high property crime rates like the Mission, Tenderloin, the Financial District, seems to be continuing to experience San Francisco's precipitous crime decline. Reported property crime was up 29% in Soma and 52% in Mission Bay. The per capita property crime rate is much lower in Mission Bay, whatever. Highest reported. So here you go. All kind of the blue ones, all but the lighter colored ones up there on the right. Yeah, this is where south of Market, this is where you've got the Tenderloin. No, Tenderloin's right there. Tenderloin is just north, south of Market, Soma, right? Supervisor Matt Dorsey, whose district includes the neighborhood, said that picking out the underlying reasons behind changes in crime data is inherently speculative. It's because you've allowed it to happen. You haven't dedicated enough resources to it. How many videos do we watch of business owners saying they feel completely alone when they call the cops and the cops say, hey, is there an active crime in process where somebody's safety is being impacted? And you say, no, they're just stealing all our stuff. They say, good luck with that, Sparky. And we hope that nothing really goes sideways because we're out dealing with real criminal calls. That's what you've got. You got going that happen here in Seattle. You got to prioritize the 911 calls. Because you have so much criminal activity, not enough cops to take care of it. It's possible that what's up is not just the larcenies themselves, but residents' motivation to call the police. That, I think, is one pretty major point, is that there's a couple of things where people, I think, will always make the phone call, and this is from a man in blue, explained this to me, that if your car gets stolen, you're probably going to make that call because it's a big expense, right? And you need a car to get around. So auto theft, one. And then shootings, another thing. Shootings are still so shocking that people tend to call those in. Those are your two crime stats that arguably are probably more accurate than a lot of the other stuff, like, larceny, theft. Those kind of calls. People have gotten so used to having their stores broken in that they don't call anymore. They don't hit their insurance up. They just take it on the chin and move on to the next one. See stories about stores, that have been broken into 10, 12, 14 times. It's like, man, you guys are a glutton for punishment. But it's because they're holding out in the hopes that their neighborhood turns around because they might have decades into that location, into the locals who shop, who consume their services at these little businesses, which are the lifeblood of most cities. But when you've got a situation where politicians have basically just cast your public safety aside, this is what you end up with. Big corporate, take it off, bunch of crime statistics. Nobody really knows if they're warranted, if they're accurate. We don't know. Because I think so much of what crime goes on is no longer called in. It's just not. We've gotten to that point where it's like, another break-in. Okay, all right. We got a little sideshow going on. Upside. We've just allowed all of those expectations to absolutely dive. And this is the end result. This is the end result. And then people are shocked. I don't understand why Starbucks can't keep the store open. Well, because there's a bunch of it that goes into it. And when they tell you it was a lease issue, the lease issue was literally just the exit valve. That's how they get out. They don't really have to make much of a statement. Couldn't come to terms with the landlord. Had to go. Gotta go. But visit us online, can shop with us online, or go to our other stores if you want to get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. I do enjoy Starbucks breakfast sandwiches, and then I get the Emperor's green tea, hot tea. I don't drink coffee. So that's my thing, but I think Starbucks is okay. They've got a good drive-through program. Go through to get your sandwich. Yeah. How many other stores have we had close recently? I mean, Westfield Center Mall in San Francisco. What did we have? We had Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, all pull out. A whole bunch of smaller stores that you would have heard about pull out. You've got Starbucks closing down stores. This is the end result of a city with financial expectations that businesses can't necessarily make sense of when you're in a mall or you're in a location where you can't have a restroom. If there's no restroom, then that's kind of indicative of what you got going on. Because they could put one in. They've got water and they've got drains, right? They've got sewer drains. So you can make a restroom happen. I don't know what the specifics were on the one Starbucks, but to me, that's indicative of we don't want one because then we don't have to turn people away. Because remember when Starbucks said, we're not turning anybody away no matter what. And then the two dudes got busted for not having, they didn't order a coffee. They just went completely cheapskate and Starbucks said, nope, you're out. And they said, nope, we're going to stay. And Starbucks had that big PR nightmare. Well, if you don't have a restroom, kind of thing can't really happen. Can't deny you the restroom. There isn't one. That's what my first thought was. But yeah, overall conditions for a lot of small businesses in San Francisco are like, downtown Seattle. You can't make a go of it. Your cost of labor, your cost of rent, too expensive, and you don't have enough people in your downtown cores. That is another major, major issue. You don't have people walking around like you used to. And for some parts of downtown Portland and downtown San Fran are probably the two worst big metropolitan cities out there that have not recovered pre-pandemic, in some way, shape, or form. They've actually probably arguably gotten worse as far as the number of businesses that have moved out. And this is what you sit with. You sit with stories like this. Hey, things are getting better, but, look for us in a different location because we got to we got to close this bad boy down. That's what you're seeing. That's what you got going on. All right. That's it for me on this one. Trust me, there will be more to come. More closures, more Starbucks closures. Absolutely. Got to evaluate that portfolio, right? Evaluate that portfolio. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.